Cricket World Radio.
And this is Cricket World Around the World. Welcome to Cricket World Around the World. I'm John Pennington. Welcome along to this week's show. We're going to continue along with the World Cup theme. We've had some fantastic matches. The tournament now getting into its real important stages. We've seen some big guns gone already. The West Indies, Australia and South Africa have all gone home. We're all looking forward to India, Pakistan as the first semi-final. New Zealand, of course, upsetting South Africa to reach the semi-finals where they will play England or Sri Lanka. Now, talking of India and Australia, we're going to start the show with our latest edition of Cricket World at the World Cup. I caught up with Chetan Narula the morning after that fantastic game in Ahmedabad where Yuvraj Singh-inspired India ended Australia's World Cup reign.
Hi, John.
Now, you must be pretty upbeat. I know you're pretty tired from travelling, but what a fantastic game. And for the thousands of home fans, the right result.
Well, yes, it was a fantastic result in the end for 42,000 strong fans in Ahmedabad yesterday. And, you have to give it to Yuvraj Singh, who's been in terrific form ever since the tournament started. 4 man of the matches for him now in 7 games that India have played. And he was pretty shocked about it when we spoke with him in the press conference. And he said that he wanted to win a huge match, a big match for India against Australia. And when he came to the crease, it was the perfect opportunity that was presented to him. And, all credit goes to him, the way he has gone about his innings. He's, and not just yesterday, I'm talking about the entire tournament. He's played well, he's batted well, he's fielded well, he's bowled well. He's actually become the player that everyone wanted him to be over a year ago.
Because going into the game, there were some who questioned India's temperament, whether they had what it took to beat Australia, the reigning champions, in an absolutely key knockout game. And they really did answer those questions pretty emphatically, didn't they?
Yes, I think the doubts have been building up little bit because of the performances in the group stage. I mean, if you look at the format of this World Cup, it's not about the group stage at all. It's about how you perform in these knockout stages. So there were doubts always about India's performance. Was their bowling up to the mark? Was their fielding going to be up to scratch? And to add on to that, the batting, which is one of their strongest points, it has collapsed 3 times in 6 games against big teams, against England, against South Africa, against West Indies. So there were question marks against all of these columns, but they were all factored in by the Indian team. They batted with purpose. A couple of silly mistakes there from Gautam Gambhir and Yuvraj Singh. I would say those silly run-out confusion there in the middle. They haven't batted together a lot, but I thought India bowled and fielded their best so far in the tournament, and I think it really showed. 260 for 6 is not a big total on any track. There were signs that the pitch will veer down. It did veer down a bit towards the end, but again, you have to look at what Australia did. Their bowling attack doesn't possess too much depth. You just have the 4 fast bowlers and just 1 spinner, frontline spinner. You always have David Hussey and Michael Clarke pitching in. But again, I think to bowl out a batting order as strong as India's, I think that was always going to come up short with a target of 260. And while India clicked all their columns of batting, fielding and bowling, I think Australia came up really short.
Now, what this sets up is a tantalising prospect of a semi-final against Pakistan in Mohali. There's got to be one of the most exciting games to look forward to all tournament, hasn't it?
Yes, everyone has been anticipating an India-Pakistan clash. There were calculations going on. They could have perhaps met in Ahmedabad. Then there were calculations going on depending on either's form. Pakistan topping the group, India coming second. So it was always going to be a huge debate whether they're meeting in the quarter-final, whether they're meeting in the semi-final or in the final at Mumbai. It was always a huge buzz. But just after the celebrations ended yesterday, again after the victory against Australia, it has now dawned on everyone in this country that Pakistan is up next at Mohali, India versus Pakistan. It's going to be an electrifying match. Everyone anticipates something great to happen on the cricket field.
And you're going to be there covering it for Cricket World as well?
Yes, hopefully. That's my next stop. And we'll be talking after that match, India versus Pakistan, from Mohali then.
And just to finish, Chetan, a very quick prediction from me for the game, please.
Well, I would want to say India, but again, Pakistan have been in top-notch form, and if there is one team that can stop India's juggernaut from rolling into Mumbai, that has to be Pakistan at the moment. And, you know, in that particular sense, I would say that both teams are balanced, and India-Pakistan is never a normal game. In a World Cup, it is never a normal game. Just to add to the equation, Pakistan have never beaten India in an ODI World Cup, but Pakistan have beaten India at Mohali twice in ODIs in recent times. So just to add to the whole balance, I think both sides are pretty balanced, pretty equal going into the matchup. It's which team handles the pressure the better on that particular day that's going to matter.
I think the only thing we can possibly predict is that it's going to be worth watching and not to miss it. Chetan, thanks very much for your time once again. We look forward to talking to you after that game in Mohali in a week or so's time.
Right, thanks John.
Chetan Narula talking to me there from Ahmedabad, and I'm really looking forward to both the game in Mohali between India and Pakistan, as well as catching up with him as well, because he's obviously looking forward to that game too. We're going to finish off the show now with the latest edition of the ICC Cricket World Radio Show podcast, and on this week's show, a number of interviews here, including one with the former Indian batting great Sunil Gavaskar.
The business end of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011 is now in full swing, and we are back with yet another episode of ICC Cricket World. I'm Manish Batavia, and we've got lots lined up for you in the next 15 minutes. We'll get you exclusive interviews with former West Indies fast bowler Ian Bishop with his thoughts on the South Africa versus New Zealand quarter-final. We'll also get New Zealand coach John Wright's views on how the Kiwi team has shaped up since he took over the coaching job. And the Sri Lankan coach Trevor Bayliss will share with us his thoughts on Sri Lanka's quarter-final clash against England. Remember, Pakistan stormed into the semi-finals of the ICC World Cup 2011 with a sensational 10-wicket win over West Indies in the first quarter-final at Mirpur on Wednesday. And in the second quarter-final, it was pre-tournament favourites India who prevailed over defending champions Australia in a nail-biting contest at Ahmedabad. Our correspondent Gautam Bhimani now gets us this exclusive interview right from where that historic game was played.
An exciting quarter-final comes to an end. Just wrapping things up, I've got Sunil Gavaskar with me. You've been through situations like this. Was there any stage towards the end that you thought India had lost their place in the semi-final?
Only if Raina were to fall early. Then yes, I would have been a little bit concerned. But Raina is an experienced player now. And more importantly, Yuvraj was at the other end. So I was pretty certain that even if Raina were to fall, Yuvraj would be able to single-handedly take India to a win. But you can never know with the Australians. We saw the way they were trying even when 5 or 10 runs were required. They were giving it everything, so you can never be too sure with the Australians. But it's a very, very good win. It showed maturity of the team, that despite setbacks, they were able to keep their focus and go on to win and defeat the world champions. I think that's a tremendous win.
Now, going back when Australia posted the runs on the board, people were talking about 258 being an average score. They got just about that, 260. Were they short?
Yes, I think so. I think if they had scored 280, then I think it would have been that much more difficult for the Indians, because you always add another 20 to 30 runs for the way the Australians field. Don't give you easy runs. So I thought 260 was gettable if India got off to a good start, didn't lose, kept wickets in hand till they got to say about halfway to the total, or a little bit beyond, say 160 for 2 or 3. Then I thought India would be able to go get there.
Lessons learnt going ahead. Do you think a little sense of panic when those run-outs happen maybe need to be dealt with?
I think it was the pressure that the Australians put with their fielding. They weren't giving easy runs. And so what happens is when you have a few dot balls, then you suddenly feel the need to get away as a batsman. If you're the striker, you want to get to the non-strikers end. So you're looking for anything, a single or anything to just get away to the non-strikers end. And that can cause this panic, this misunderstanding and the run-out.
Just looking back at India's performance, obviously Yuvraj is his 4th Man of the Match award. From the bowling, any positives we can take out today?
Yes, I think again Yuvraj's bowling, the way Harbhajan bowled, the way Ashwin came in and bowled, Zahir, once again, magnificent. So I think you've now got a situation where 4 of your bowlers are bowling reasonably well. The 5th bowler was always going to be a worry. Unfortunately, now it's one of the regular bowlers who's a worry, not the batsman turned 5th bowler. So that's the one aspect that India need to look at, and their fielding with Raina's inclusion has certainly perked up. So I think there's a plus definitely over there.
Very quickly, to end off, looking ahead, India-Pakistan. You've been in a World Cup semi-final before, but this seems almost too good to be true. India-Pakistan in Mohali.
Absolutely. I think this is this is something that nobody would have really expected. Looking at the way Pakistan's cricket was in say about 6 months ago, the way they have come back, the way they have stormed into the semi-finals, I think full credit to them for the way they have kept their composure and done that. And India for the consistent cricket that they've played. So I think we are in for a cracker of a game. It might not be as exciting or in terms of boundaries and sixes as some other games, but it certainly will be as close fought a game as India-Australia was.
2 more quarterfinals to go as the world awaits the remaining 2 semi-finalists in what has been the most competitively played Cricket World Cup so far. South Africa take on New Zealand in the 3rd quarterfinal at Mirpur tomorrow, and our correspondent Christy Simpson caught up with former West Indian fast bowler Ian Bishop to get his thoughts on that clash. Have a listen.
Ian Bishop, they say World Cups are all about momentum. If you look at the momentum of New Zealand and South Africa look the favourites for this quarter-final in Dhaka.
Yes, South Africa looks the favourites for the World Cup, really, or certainly one of the favourites. They're very strong in so many departments, apart from their captain Smith, who hasn't been getting runs. The batting is clicking, and then their lower order batting keeps contributing as well. And such variety in the bowling, and led by, of course, Steyn, Monimokal, Tahir, Johan Botha. So for me, I'm still looking at a South Africa victory because I think they've got a lot of quality there.
Yeah, Tahir, really the difference in this side. What a World Cup he's had.
Well, he's added to it. I still feel that it was always going to be a strong lineup with Dale Steyn and Monimokal. What Tahir has given them is that variety, that added variety. Johan Botha is a guy that is very underestimated as a one-day performer as well, so they have to keep their eye on him. Their fielding is also very good. However, you talk about momentum, but in these knockout matches, one team has to have a good day and just get the hack of a pitch or something and it can overturn, but I still think South Africa very strong.
And if you look at the New Zealand batting order, they've got some real quality there. Brendan McCullum at the top, Ryder, Taylor, it just hasn't been clicking. What's New Zealand's problem as a one-day team?
The same problem that they've had over the years, getting everybody to fire at the same time, getting all components of their game or departments of their game to click on any one given day. If you have McCullum, if you have Jesse Ryder, who really needs to fire, if you have Ross Taylor, and then you have Daniel Vettori, if those guys come together and put a score on the board, it could be a significant score, but too often, 2 guys fire, 3 guys don't. And that is a consistent pattern of New Zealand cricket sometimes, though at World Cups they've managed to hedge things together.
There has been a criticism in the middle order that they want to hit for 6, they want to hit for 4, they don't want to build their innings.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some, well, I don't know if I can sort of fire that criticism at them, but it's a matter of soaking up the pressure. Let's not forget Scott Styris as well, experienced campaigner there as well. So for New Zealand, look, sit down, let's come together, let's understand how to work this. Wickets in hand, the power plays are critical factors because we've got some strikers of the ball. They can bat very deep as well. Tim Southee can bat right down the order, and Kyle Mills as well. So if they approach this as a team, they could really put some pressure on South Africa, and if they play well enough, why not overturn them?
You've said you think South Africa are the favourites, but Sri Lanka absolutely dismantled the New Zealanders in Mumbai. They're surely up there.
Yeah, they're one of the teams, and based on that bowling strength, that Mendes, that Murali, they've got the left-arm spinner Rangana Herath who can play a part as well. My problem, though, is that things have to go so well with Sri Lanka's batting because it's so much about Sangakkara and Jayawardene in the main that if they come up against a very powerful bowling lineup who eats into that batting order and gets early wickets, then Sri Lanka struggle to put a good total on the board.
So the point is about South Africa that they don't have to rely on 1 or 2 men. This is a strong all-round side.
You've hit the nail on the head right there. And Graham Smith hasn't fired. He needs to fire because he comes in at an important position, but there's so much quality all the way through. I mean, A.B. de Villiers, Dumani, Amla, Jack Callis now in the runs. Botha and those guys are contributing. So it's a star-studded team. The question for South Africa, critical moment of ICC tournaments, can they hold it together mentally?
I heard Graham Smith say that A.B. de Villiers was the best one-day batsman in the world. What's your thoughts on that?
There are a few guys that I would pay money to watch bat. Sachin Tendulkar being my prime. I've always felt that way ever since I played against him. A.B. de Villiers is the other one because there's an easiness about his batting. His transition from defense to attack is good, and he scored so much runs against the West Indies that I might lean towards him being certainly one of the best one-day batsmen in the world.
So finally, South Africa have to win, you say?
I'm backing them to win. I think they're good. I think they're good in the field. They're good with the ball. They're good with the bat. And I'd be hugely disappointed if I don't see them in the final.
Remember, New Zealand have been known as perennial semi-finalists at Cricket World Cups in the past, and this time they'll need to beat an informed South African side to go through to the semi-finals. After an unimpressive run of form in the lead-up to the World Cup, the Kiwis have managed to book a quarter-final berth, and it's their brand new coach John Wright who's made a huge difference to this team's fortunes. Our correspondent Christy Simpson has kept himself busy, and he caught up with John Wright and found out his thoughts on how the team is shaped up in the recent past.
John, it's been a bit of a baptism of fire. The series here, the tough series in Bangladesh, then the World Cup. How's everything going? What's your feeling about it all?
Well, I think, I've enjoyed coming back personally to the subcontinent. As far as the cricket goes, we've got a little bit of an experience at the top of our order, but if we can get together a score, starting from tomorrow, we'll be very, very competitive. I've been really pleased with our bowling and our fielding efforts, but it's just a matter of getting runs on the board.
I guess the big problem is you do have an incredibly talented top batting order, but they seem to want to hit it out of the park a bit.
That's right, yeah, they sort of... sometimes we play too many boundary shots and we're not prepared. We've got to work the ones and really just work hard, put an innings together. If we can get through to 35 overs, wickets in hand, we've got the bottom order as well that can be very destructive in that time. So that that's the plan. It sort of works over here.
I guess it's better to play straight on these low subcontinent pitches. Have you been drumming that in?
Yeah. I got a call from Sourav Ganguly actually at the start of the tour, and he said, John, tell him to play between mid-wicket and cover. You've got to play straight over here. And I think, if you watch a lot of the games over here and the good players that do well in the subcontinent, it's based around, getting ones and looking to play very straight, if it's on the wicket.
Steve Richardson said it took him 4 years to get the team he wanted together. How long are you looking for this New Zealand side?
Well, we'll just take it, I've started early and there's a few changes that we have to make, but what I do know is we've got some talented kids here and we've got some talented at home, and success is, it's just hard work, application, picking people that really want to improve, and it'll take a while, but I think we're getting an idea.
You got India into the World Cup final in 2003 down in South Africa. If you could take one player from that side and put him in your team now, difficult question, I know, who would it be?
Oh, well, Tendulkar would be a good start.
Really? That obvious?
Yeah. Well, anyone in the top three. I think, in this 50-over game, the top 3, 4, they're the critical ones. If you get the privilege to bat in the top 4, you've got to get big scores, not 60s or 50s. You've got to get hundreds.
On the other hand, co-hosts and 1996 World Cup champions Sri Lanka will take on England in the 4th quarter-final at Colombo on Saturday. And here's what the Sri Lankan coach Trevor Bayliss had to say about that contest.
We're approaching the game as though they're playing very good cricket. Look, they've had some close games. Yes, that gives them an advantage, I suppose, from the point of view that they have had some close games. But I think overall, we believe that they'll come out and somewhere along the line they're going to have a good game. So we've got to approach this match as though they're playing some very good cricket. We've got to go out there and play better, obviously. The guys are used to it. They play with that expectation all of the time, and especially when they play here at home. So, look, I think the best players, the top players, actually enjoy that situation. That eggs them on to actually perform better. Playing in front of that big crowd and, I suppose, in a way, not wanting to make a fool of yourself. You go out and make sure you concentrate and play well.
2 exciting quarterfinals in prospect, and we'll see who prevails in the end to book the remaining 2 semi-final berths in the ICC World Cup 2011. We'll also keep an eye on the Reliance Mobile ICC rankings as teams get closer to that glittering ICC World Cup 2011 trophy. And with that, we've run right out of time for this week's show. We hope you've enjoyed it. Before we wrap up, just a reminder to all of you, don't forget to catch the TV version of ICC Cricket World. Also remember to log on to icc-cricket.yahoo.net for all the latest news and score updates from the ICC World Cup 2011. For the moment, from me Manish Batavia and the rest of the team here at ICC Cricket World, it's goodbye.